Lucas Lancaster and Sophia Dubois. 4 years Lucas Lancaster and Sophia Dubois had lived in the same social circles, keeping their distance from each other. Although they attended the same events and shared mutual acquaintances, their relationship remained distant and superficial. Lucas, always the wealthy and successful businessman, maintained his distance from those around him, never allowing himself to get emotionally close to anyone. Truly loving someone, openly expressing his feelings, and allowing himself to be vulnerable were things he found incredibly difficult. Despite what his family, colleagues, and friends told him, deep down, Lucas wasn't willing to risk exposing his emotions. Sophia, on the other hand, was the complete opposite. Known for her intelligence, strong demeanor, and independent personality, she projected confidence and determination in all aspects of her life. To her, love was a sign of weakness and vulnerability. Despite the admiration she received from men, she always remained distant, avoiding emotional attachments. Although there was a deep, unspoken attraction between them, neither knew how to handle it. 4 years they had lived in this dilemma, feeling something in each other's eyes but never daring to act on it. Their first meeting dated back to their university years. They had both attended the same school but belonged to different social groups. Lucas had been one of the most popular and successful students, while Sophia was more focused on her professional ambitions, striving to build a strong presence in the business world. Their silent interest in one another had only served to push them further apart. Lucas admired Sophia's independence and strength but feared getting too close. Sophia, on the other hand, had noticed Lucas's distant and reserved nature. Although she found him intriguing, his aloofness mirrored her own, preventing either of them from taking the first step. Years later, they had both climbed the ranks in their respective careers and established strong positions in the business world. Then one day at a gala hosted by a beloved mutual friend, fate brought them together once more. The gala night. As Sophia walked into the grand ballroom, she exuded elegance, her gown shimmering under the crystal chandeliers. She gracefully scanned the room, recognizing familiar faces. Some greeted her warmly while others exchanged polite nods. But then a gaze locked onto hers, and in that moment, everything shifted. Lucas stood across the room watching her in silence. Over the years he had noticed the way his heart reacted whenever he saw her, but tonight the realization hit him harder. From that moment on, their eyes remained fixed on each other. Lucas, with his intense gaze and undeniable presence, captivated Sophia's attention. A flood of emotions she wasn't prepared for washed over her. She had always believed showing emotions made her weak, yet here she was, completely affected by his presence. Sophia took a deep breath and stepped forward. As she approached, Lucas felt something stir within him, a shift he hadn't anticipated. He remained composed as always, exuding confidence, yet inside a quiet storm was brewing. "Sophia," Lucas said, offering a small smile as he extended his hand. "It's been a long time. You look stunning." Sophia smiled back, shaking his hand. "Thank you, Lucas. It's good to see you here." Their brief exchange wasn't enough to dissolve the years of emotional distance between them, but in their eyes they could see the truth. They had spent years avoiding something undeniable. And now they would have to decide whether to continue running from it or finally face what had always been there. This night was a turning point. The first steps of the night. As the evening progressed, Lucas and Sophia found themselves in deeper conversation. Unlike before, they didn't just talk about business or exchange formal pleasantries. This time they spoke about personal matters, things they had never dared to share before. Sophia had always perceived Lucas as a cold, reserved, and business-oriented man. But tonight she sensed a shift in him. His eyes reflected something deeper, a quiet admiration, an emotion she had never allowed herself to acknowledge. Yet, despite the unspoken tension between them, neither dared to take the first step. Both feared vulnerability. "Lucas, it feels strange to see you after all these years," Sophia admitted, taking a sip of her wine. "Once we knew each other, but now, who knows what paths we've taken." Lucas exhaled deeply, studying her intently. "Yes, a lot has changed, hasn't it?" Then after a brief pause he added, But I never forgot you, Sophia. Everything we once said, everything left unspoken, it's always been there. Sophia's heart raced. Feelings she had long buried began to surface. The years of distance, the layers of restraint, they all seemed to be unraveling in that moment. The end of the night and a new beginning. As the gala came to an end, Lucas and Sophia shared one last lingering glance. The emotions between them had grown stronger, but neither was ready to embrace them fully, at least not yet. With one final look, they each returned to their own worlds, but something had changed. As Sophia got into her car, a whirlwind of emotions consumed her. The feelings she had suppressed for so long were now impossible to ignore. Thinking about Lucas only intensified the turmoil inside her. She knew that she could no longer pretend these emotions didn't exist. As she looked ahead, she realized time was slipping away and she could no longer afford to keep running. Something had shifted. And this time she wasn't going to let it slip through her fingers. Lucas' inner conflict. For a week, Lucas Lancaster buried himself in work, trying to maintain his usual routine. Yet every night before he fell asleep, only one face appeared in his mind, Sophia's. Her gaze, the words she had spoken that night, and the emotions he had long suppressed were now unraveling within him. Since the gala, the way she looked at him, the way she spoke, everything had started to break down the emotional walls he had carefully built over the years. Despite this, Lucas struggled to accept the turmoil within him. To him, emotional attachments were a weakness. He had spent years being known as a strong and distant figure in the business world. Expressing his emotions felt terrifying. He wasn't sure if what he felt for Sophia was real. Every moment, every decision, every passing day revolved around a single question. Do I truly love her? Unable to answer this question, he hesitated to get close to her, to open himself up. Alone in his study, Lucas tried to regain control over his thoughts. He convinced himself that everything needed to be in order. The million-dollar deals, the partnerships, the carefully structured life he had built. But no matter how hard he tried, his mind kept drifting back to Sophia, to the connection he had felt in just a single glance. I could have something with her. There must be a chance, he thought. But almost immediately another voice in his head countered. No. You can't risk losing control. Feelings should never come before logic. Caught between these conflicting thoughts, he paused for a moment. But has all this distance and restraint ever truly made you happy? How long can you suppress what you feel? The emotions in Sophia's eyes, the unspoken questions, and the uncertainty all chipped away at his carefully constructed barriers. The protective layers he had built for so many years now seemed weaker than ever. Sophia's realization. With each passing day, Sophia felt her emotions for Lucas growing stronger. His calm, distant demeanor both drew her in and made her want to retreat. For so long she had kept her heart guarded. While she was known as a strong and independent woman, she couldn't ignore the emptiness she had felt inside. And slowly, that emptiness was being filled with the emotions Lucas had unknowingly awakened in her. Yet the thought of these emotions overwhelming her frightened her. She feared that allowing herself to feel too much would make her vulnerable. This fear left her conflicted. Her attraction to Lucas challenged her rationality. On one hand, she was the woman who had spent years building her strength, and on the other, she was afraid of what it would mean to let him in. Being close to him brought comfort, but at the same time, it felt like an inevitable source of future pain. As Sophia prepared for work one morning, she found herself lost in thought. Staring at her reflection in the mirror, she noticed something missing in her own eyes. Has all this time spent alone and keeping my distance left me vulnerable in a different way? Is this really how I'm supposed to feel? In that moment, she realized that every memory with Lucas had become a blur in her mind. She wanted to be near him, yet every step toward him felt like stepping into unknown territory. It was as if an invisible force was keeping them apart. Sophia tried to push the thoughts away, but she couldn't. Every time she thought of Lucas, an unsettling restlessness took over. But alongside that unease, her attraction to him was undeniable. Taking a deep breath, she whispered to herself, "How did my feelings for him grow this much over the years?" She could no longer deny what she felt. The emotions she had suppressed for so long were now impossible to contain. But a new fear crept in. How would Lucas react? A meeting once again. A week later, Lucas and Sophia found themselves at another evening gathering. Time seemed to slip away whenever they were together. They were growing closer, yet from an outsider's perspective, their dynamic appeared unchanged. The emotional distance between them would fade momentarily, only to return just as quickly. Lucas struggled between his attraction to Sophia and the discomfort of his own emotions. As the night went on, they found themselves sitting closer than before. For the first time, their conversation ventured beyond business and casual topics. It was deeper, yet still they hesitated. Despite the emotions swirling between them, neither of them could fully express what they felt. Their gazes held something unspoken, something too complex to be captured in mere words. Lucas finally broke the silence. Sophia, I've kept my distance from you for years, but lately I feel closer to you every day. I don't know why this is happening, but I do know one thing. I'm afraid of losing you. Sophia looked at him, her expression unreadable. Lucas, I think about you too. But everything has become so complicated. Getting closer, opening up. I don't know if it's the right thing to do. Maybe we should just stay the way we are. Lucas shook his head. I can't do that. If I do, I'll regret everything I've left unspoken. I want to be with you, Sophia. But I don't know how. Sophia took a deep breath, searching his eyes for answers. Then, with a quiet certainty, she stepped closer. Maybe we need to stop being afraid. Maybe we need to finally let ourselves feel. A week later, changing dynamics. A week later, everything that defined the relationship between Lucas and Sophia began to shift in subtle ways. No matter how much they tried to maintain distance, the emotional pull between them grew stronger with each passing day. Both of them had reached a point where they could no longer suppress their feelings. Letting go of their fears and truly getting closer to one another shouldn't have been this difficult. Yet their roles in the business world and social circles always seemed to push them toward defensiveness. One evening, Lucas and Sophia decided to meet with friends at a restaurant. Amid the bustling crowd and chatter, their eyes were only focused on each other. The way they looked at one another conveyed more than words could express. It felt as though everything had shifted to a new level. As the night wore on, they drew closer. Smiles and subtle touches gradually erased the distance between them. Sophia's inner transformation. Sophia had been a solitary woman for many years. Her strong and independent personality had served as a mask, keeping her from emotional relationships. But when Lucas was near her, something began to change. The feelings she had long kept hidden, the emotions she had never allowed herself to express, slowly began to surface. For the first time, being with a man didn't bring comfort, it brought fear. Lucas's presence made her feel secure, but at the same time she couldn't summon the courage to open up to him. The thought of breaking down years of emotional distance was terrifying. For a moment, as Sophia looked into Lucas's eyes, she felt utterly vulnerable. This was the moment when she realized how emotionally close she had become to him. How much longer will we keep our distance, she wondered. She wanted to spend more time with him, to explore what was between them, but emotionally opening up felt like an impossible step to take at once. Lucas's bold move. When Lucas noticed the emotional weight Sophia was carrying, he realized something was changing. He thought back to that night, the depth of their conversation, the spiritual connection between them. Yet neither of them had taken a step forward. Lucas had spent a long time living behind a mask, never opening up to anyone emotionally, focusing only on climbing the ranks in the business world. But Sophia was showing him another way. Approaching Sophia, expressing his feelings openly, was a difficult decision for Lucas. Being known as a strong, business-oriented man made it nearly impossible to coexist with emotional vulnerability. However, every moment spent with Sophia encouraged him to open up. What's the point of being afraid, he thought. I want to be with her. Rather than losing her, I should face my fears. As Sophia walked toward him, Lucas decided to gather his courage. He realized that the connection between them was not just a fleeting attraction, it was something much deeper. Despite the years they had spent keeping their distance, this night everything could change. Time together and confessions. The next morning, Lucas invited Sophia to have coffee together. Amid the usual hectic schedules, this time they focused only on each other. Sitting at a cafe, the silence between them felt more comfortable than ever. Both were ready to open up, but there was still a lingering fear inside them. Lucas smiled at Sophia, but his eyes held a firm determination. Sophia, Lucas began slowly, I've tried to tell you this before, but how much meaning can words really have? I've wanted to tell you how I've felt for years. After all this time and distance, my feelings for you have only deepened. Getting to know you has changed so much for me, not just professionally or socially, but in my heart. But I'm afraid of losing you. I'm afraid because I love you. Sophia's heart raced as she heard his words. For a moment she seemed unable to find the right words. The emotional weight within her suddenly broke free, tears welling in her eyes. I didn't expect this, she said, her voice trembling but sincere. I can't believe it, Lucas. But I love you too. I have for so long. But sharing my feelings, being this vulnerable, taking a step forward, it's always scared me. They fell into silence, but this silence was a reflection of the trust and love they shared. We've kept our distance for so long because we were afraid. But we truly need each other, Lucas said with a deep sigh. Sophia smiled. Yes, we need each other. And together we can overcome our fears. Lucas's inner transformation. After spending time with Sophia, Lucas began to experience a significant shift in his emotional world. Being with her led him to accept his feelings more and more each day. His success in the business world had always given him confidence, but he was now realizing that his inner peace couldn't solely be found in professional victories. The comfort he felt when with Sophia gave him a sense of freedom he had never experienced before. However, the influence of his past still followed him. The belief that everything in the business world had to be orderly and controlled prevented Lucas from being emotionally vulnerable. One morning as he woke up, he started reflecting on the time he had spent with Sophia. Every moment with her teaches me something, he thought. Yet the lessons from his past, which taught him that expressing emotions was a sign of weakness, continued to fuel his internal conflict. How much longer should I be with Sophia? He asked himself. But everything is changing. Being with her makes me feel emotionally vulnerable. I'm afraid, but I also want to get closer to her. With each passing day, as he started filling the emptiness inside him with the peace he found when with Sophia, he began to feel this more clearly. I can only trust her, he thought. But what if I lose her afterward? Every time Sophia gave him emotional security, Lucas faced this fear. He could now sense that the time spent with Sophia was bringing down his emotional walls. But still, the fear of loss continued to haunt him. Sophia's confrontation with vulnerability. After accepting her feelings for Lucas, Sophia began to feel a sense of inner peace. However, being emotionally vulnerable was still challenging for her. She had always been known as a strong and independent woman. But when she was with Lucas, the love she saw in his eyes made her feel vulnerable. Lucas's affection toward her required her to open up emotionally, and this was something that pushed Sophia to her limits. Being this close to someone who loves me, opening up like this is hard, she thought. But staying away from him or suppressing these feelings won't bring me closer to anyone. What should I do? During this new phase, it took Sophia some time to understand how much she truly wanted to open up to him emotionally. As her love for Lucas grew day by day, the fear of being vulnerable with him only intensified. But it was precisely because of this fear that she knew it was time to take the next step with him. After a day at work, Sophia decided to call Lucas. Let's spend some time together today. I feel myself getting closer to you more and more each day, Lucas, she said over the phone. We need to get closer and focus on everything we've been holding back. An event triggers a decision. One evening, Lucas and Sophia went out for dinner together. Later that night, an event would lead them both to a pivotal moment in their lives. Amid the noise of the restaurant, Lucas noticed something had changed in Sophia's eyes. Slowly, he stepped closer to her. Sophia, everything changing so fast is scary for me. But I need to tell you something. I've suppressed my feelings for you for so long. Facing my fears and getting closer to you hasn't made me weak. I believe everything is possible with you. Lucas finally broke down his emotional wall. Sophia took a deep breath and stepped toward Lucas, her eyes shining with trust. I know I should express my feelings too, Lucas. Together we can overcome everything. Do you know what we lost when we kept our distance for so long? She said, her eyes filled with determination. We need to trust each other. We have to be strong together. Looking at each other, they both realized that the distance between them had completely disappeared. This was a moment that would strengthen their emotional connection and solidify the trust they had in each other. Now it felt like nothing could stop them. Sophia's emotional opening and decisions. A week later, Sophia reflected on every moment spent with Lucas. She realized how beautifully everything was progressing, yet she still felt as though past mistakes and fears were following her. Trusting Lucas completely, opening up to him and beginning to build a future with him was still a frightening thought. However, she now felt it was time to take the next step. One morning, Sophia decided to write a letter to Lucas, opening her heart and expressing all of her feelings. In the letter, she expressed her love and commitment to him, as well as her desire to build a future together. Together we can overcome our fears, she wrote. I want to be with you forever. This is the first time I'm telling you everything that has been building inside me for years. Building the future together. The relationship between Lucas and Sophia was growing stronger every day. The trust they had for each other had overcome the fears and inner conflicts they had experienced in previous chapters. Now they both saw how emotionally opening up to each other had brought them immense comfort and peace. They realized that this relationship was not only an expression of their love but also an opportunity to shape their lives together. One evening, Lucas and Sophia decided to discuss their future. Both had accepted their love for each other and felt ready to give their lives a new direction together. Lucas, Sophia, I feel like everything has changed so quickly over the past few weeks. All the fears from my past seem to be disappearing somehow. When I'm with you, I realize how hopeful I am for the future. Sophia, looking into Lucas's eyes, said, I feel the same, Lucas. Over time, I've realized that our fears and anxieties are just delusions. Together, I believe we can accomplish anything. Both of them felt their commitment to each other deepen with these words. Being together, building a future together, it feels like the right choice for both of us, Sophia added, taking a deep breath. Lucas, absorbing Sophia's words, nodded. Yes, finally, I realize how right it is to face the emotions I've been running from for so long and open up to you. The future is brighter with you. I only believe we can take this journey better together. Sophia smiled, looking at him deeply. Telling you this was something I've feared for years. But now, once we've taken that step, I believe nothing can stop us. The outside world and pressures. However, not everything was that easy. Although Lucas and Sophia felt they had freed themselves from the effects of the past, the pressures from the outside world were still challenging their relationship. Lucas was a well-known figure in the business world, and sometimes, people around him tried to interfere with his personal life. Sophia, running her own business, was forced to keep her commitment and relationship with him secret. One morning, after attending an important meeting at work, Lucas felt he needed some time alone, the stress from the day weighing on him. He called Sophia, but their conversation was brief and hesitant. Lucas still wasn't fully comfortable opening up emotionally, and his professional life was preventing him from getting closer. Lucas, Sophia, I want to see you, but my mind is all over the place because of work. I need some time. Sophia could sense Lucas's inner conflict. I understand, Lucas, but we need to be more open with each other. We must defend the time we spend together, our commitment to each other. Sophia's words only deepened Lucas's uncertainty. While trying to break down the emotional walls from the past, the pressures from his business life and society's expectations were still weighing on him. The trust Sophia gave him encouraged him, yet he struggled to break free from his old habits. The big step in the confession. A week later, Lucas and Sophia came together again. That evening, they made an important decision that would strengthen their trust in each other. They both believed that emotional barriers and fears could be overcome and that together they could conquer anything. Lucas, Sophia, everything in the business world moves so fast. But being with you has made me focus not just on my work but also on my heart. My feelings for you show me how everything feels right. Today I need to confess something. I truly love you. Sophia, with tears in her eyes, said, I love you too, Lucas. Accepting this was impossible for me a while ago. But now I've shed all the burdens of the past and I'm ready to open up completely to you. They embraced each other tightly. In that moment, they both felt they had freed themselves from the past's influences and discovered the strength to overcome any challenge together. Their emotional bond was stronger than ever. Steps taken together for the future. A week later, Lucas and Sophia made a significant decision to take steps toward the future together. Now, their trust in each other was no longer just an emotional connection. They decided to support each other in their professional lives as well and had clearly defined their future together. They had left their fears of the past behind and accepted their love as a guiding map for their lives. Sophia, everything is clearer now, Lucas. Our trust in each other has grown with each step. The future is much brighter for just the two of us. Lucas, yes, Sophia. We are determined to succeed together and stand by each other no matter what. This is our journey. Sophia and Lucas, holding hands tightly, laid the foundations for a new life. The steps they would take for their future were born not only from the love they had for each other but also from the strength they gained together. The effects of the past had faded, and all that stood before them was their trust in each other. Lucas and Sophia's resolute steps. For a week, Lucas and Sophia enjoyed the time they spent together and made a series of decisions to strengthen their relationship. The love and trust they had for each other deepened their bond. Everything seemed to be going well and they had started making big plans for their future. However, life's challenges, no matter how perfect everything seemed, could appear at any moment. Lucas was still a strong leader in the business world and he approached everything with a perfectionist mindset. However, as he began to leave behind past mistakes and the emotional distance he had been taught, new opportunities were emerging on one hand, while the pressures from the outside world were intensifying on the other. The challenges he faced at work provided him with opportunities to test his relationship with Sophia. Sophia, on the other hand, always stood strong with her successful businesswoman identity and focused on expanding her own business. But for her too, finding balance in her relationships was an experience she had never encountered before. One morning, Lucas went to a meeting to close a new deal. This deal was a turning point in his career, but at the same time, the fear of losing it brought back his fears about the future of his relationship. While Sophia was working in her office, she wondered how much she could support Lucas during such an intense period. Being strong in the business world is easy, but taking a step emotionally, supporting each other isn't so easy, she thought. Lucas's openness to her had helped her fully trust him, but her own anxieties had also started to ease. She felt they were closer now. But there was an issue: the difficulty of balancing the business world and personal life. Sophia had always supported Lucas, but she realized that emotionally opening up to him and fully accepting him took time. At that moment, she decided that both of them needed to invest more in their relationship. External pressures and challenges testing love. One day, Lucas was facing a major crisis at work. Shortly before a very important meeting, disagreements with business partners led to an unexpected deadlock. Lucas was doing everything he could to handle this crisis, but there was an emptiness in his heart. He was distancing himself from Sophia and struggling to emotionally connect with her. The tension he felt made him think about how it would affect his relationship. When Sophia became aware of the situation, she noticed that Lucas was being distant. In the past, the challenges and losses Lucas had faced in the business world had always turned him into a distant man. But this time she wanted to approach him with trust. One evening, while the intensity of work continued, Sophia sent Lucas a message. "Do you want to see me? Don't let the challenges at work affect you. We can support each other." When Lucas saw the message, he felt uneasy. Despite his inner conflict, he wanted to be with Sophia. The time to express his feelings for her had come and gone, and now he wanted to build emotional bonds and show his trust in her. During dinner they came together. Slowly they began to express their feelings for each other. Lucas turned to Sophia with determination in his eyes and said, "Opening up to you about my feelings was difficult. But now I know everything will be better." The pressures and challenges at work. I shouldn't let them affect you. Because I don't want to lose you. When Sophia heard Lucas's words, she felt deep trust in her eyes. I've always trusted you, Lucas. In this world, our commitment and trust in each other outside of work are what matter most. No matter how many challenges come our way, we'll grow stronger together. They embraced each other tightly, filling the emotional void with trust and love. We can overcome anything together, Lucas said. Being strong together. In the following days, Lucas and Sophia strengthened their trust in each other, both in the business world and in their relationship. Lucas had overcome the crisis at work and signed a deal that marked an important turning point in his career. But most importantly, he had deepened his relationship with Sophia. They now trusted each other emotionally and were overcoming all the obstacles the past had created. While Sophia continued to grow her own business, she also made sure to support Lucas at every step. Every challenge they faced in the business world brought them closer together. Above all, they had discovered the strong foundation in their relationship, and based on that, they decided to build a strong future together. A happy ending and steps toward the future together. One morning after work, Lucas and Sophia decided to take a walk. As they walked through a quiet park in the city, they felt how strong their trust in each other had become. The fears, anxieties, and uncertainties that had been there at the beginning were now in the past. Their love and trust for each other were growing stronger every day. They were ready to shape their future together. Sophia smiled at Lucas and said, "Everything is so beautiful, isn't it? I believe we can accomplish anything together." Lucas smiled back, placing his hand in Sophia's, and said, "Yes, we can overcome everything together. The future is ours." And at that moment they both began to take stronger steps toward the future. They had fully opened up to each other emotionally, strengthened their trust, and knew that no matter what, they would always stand by each other in the life they had built together. Challenging days together. Lucas and Sophia had embarked on a new beginning in every aspect of their lives, built on the trust they shared with each other. However, behind every happy relationship, there are often obstacles and challenges. In this chapter, we will explore the difficult moments in their lives, how they gradually shed the effects of the past, and how they found strength in each other's love. A week ago, while Lucas was completing one of his biggest projects at work, the workload and pressure started to overwhelm them. Sophia too was trying to cope with the challenges in her own business and the pressures of continuing to grow. The time they spent together had become more valuable, but both of them decided they needed to find a solution to spend more time with each other. Lucas's inner tension. While sipping his morning coffee, Lucas realized how difficult it had been to balance both work and personal life over the past few weeks. He had always defended emotional distance in recent years and kept others at arm's length. However, his relationship with Sophia showed him that everything was different. Being able to express his emotional void when he felt it beside her had become his strongest source of support. Yet the challenges in the business world always triggered his fears and insecurities. Spending time with Sophia gives me peace. But the business world feels like an obstacle at every turn. I don't know how everything will continue. Overcoming this distance and fear still challenges me, Lucas thought. As the days passed, the chaos at work further increased his emotional tension. Eventually, he and Sophia decided they needed to spend more time together and leave everything else behind. However, Sophia, trying to understand the turmoil and fears inside Lucas, wanted to help him. Sophia's understanding and patient approach. Rather than seeing Lucas as the strong and distant man he used to be, Sophia was trying to understand his vulnerability. The challenges Lucas faced both in his professional and personal life shouldn't prevent him from continuing to form emotional connections. However, Lucas's inner restlessness was putting Sophia in a difficult position. One evening they went for a walk and Sophia, approaching Lucas more deeply, expressed her support for him. "Lucas, I understand you so well. Seeing how you deal with the fears created by your past shows how much I value you and how deeply I love you. But I will always be stronger with you. What we need is the trust and love we have for each other." Lucas was deeply affected by Sophia's words. He began to think about how he could solve these emotions by opening up to her about his fears and challenges. Sometimes accepting someone else's trust in your life can be so difficult. But with you, I believe we can overcome anything. Sophia smiled and nodded. Taking the first step is always hard, but being with you comes before everything else. I feel that no matter how hard it is to overcome the obstacles from the past, everything will be easier with you. External pressures and decisions. Lucas and Sophia began to make decisions about their relationship and future together, starting to spend more time with each other. However, the pressures from the outside world still posed a challenge. Lucas had risen quickly in the business world and had become the star of those around him as a powerful businessman. However, the responsibilities and expectations that came with this sometimes left him emotionally vulnerable. One day, a business partner offered Lucas a new proposal for an important project. However, this offer was a chance that would significantly change not just his work but his personal life as well. Lucas knew that if he accepted this proposal, things would become more complicated. He had to make a major decision about how to maintain the balance between his professional and personal life. Sophia was ready to help him with this decision. "Lucas, I'm ready to support you in everything. Could this new opportunity make you happy, or will it make things more complicated?" Lucas took a deep breath. "I don't know, Sophia. If we accept this offer, things will change a lot. But rather than losing you, we could take this opportunity and combine both our work and personal lives harmoniously. Our trust in each other will be crucial as we decide what to do for the future." Sophia walked up to him and said, "We can overcome every challenge together. I always believe in you, Lucas. But not just in the business world. I'll be with you emotionally as well. The time we spend together will always be more valuable than anything else." Steps together for the future. Lucas eventually made a big decision. He decided to accept the new opportunity in the business world while focusing on the trust and love in his personal life. This decision became a step that would strengthen not only his work but also his relationship. He and Sophia would spend more time together and take stronger steps toward the future. Sophia looked at Lucas happily and said, "This decision is the best for us. Together we'll overcome everything." Lucas nodded as if he had found peace within himself. "Yes, together we can overcome any challenge. The future will be ours, Sophia." And so Lucas and Sophia, with their trust in each other, moved forward with the belief that they could overcome any obstacles in their path and build a happy life together. At a new turning point, Lucas and Sophia had begun to move to a new stage in their relationship, strengthened by the trust they shared. The harmony between them made this turning point in their lives even more meaningful. However, the truth remained that every happy relationship is tested by external challenges. As they grew closer, they began to realize how important it was to leave behind the traces of the past that had shaped them. One morning, when Lucas went to his office, an email from a business partner he had worked with for years shook his world. There was an important change regarding the acceptance of a project proposal. This offer presented an opportunity that would not only impact their business life but also create a major shift in their personal lives. Lucas had to make a big decision about whether to seize this opportunity. But at that moment he thought about his relationship with Sophia and the trust they had built. During this process, Sophia decided to become closer to Lucas than ever before. They were spending more time together, working to strengthen their trust in each other with each passing day. However, Sophia still carried some uncertainties about how success in the business world could harmonize with their personal relationship. One day, while having dinner together, Sophia shared her thoughts with Lucas. "Lucas, I know this opportunity excites you, but doesn't such a huge change in the business world also put emotional pressure on you?" Lucas looked at her, taking a deep breath. "Yes, Sophia. This change may be challenging. But with you trusting each other, I believe we can overcome anything," he said, his eyes filled with deep determination. Sophia saw the inner peace and resolve in Lucas. "Then I want to be with you every step of the way on this journey. Being by your side, I feel like I can overcome every difficulty. And this change might even make our lives stronger." Breaking free from the traces of the past, Lucas and Sophia were increasingly realizing the value of the time they spent together. Both of them were determined to take steps to break free from the traces of the past. Lucas was now more determined than ever to shed his fears from the past and build a real future with Sophia. For years he had avoided emotional bonds by maintaining distance. However, his relationship with Sophia gave him the courage to break down the walls created by the past. He had come to realize how important it was to move forward in a relationship with nothing but trust and love. One evening after work, Lucas and Sophia decided to go for a walk. This walk wasn't just to strengthen their relationship but also to help them free themselves from the influences of the past. With the trust they had in each other, they were ready to step into a new chapter of their lives. Sophia looked at Lucas and said, "I know how much the past has affected you, but it's time to let go of it. Now we must take stronger steps toward each other." Lucas took a deep breath and replied, "Yes, I have finally shed the influence of the past. With you, I believe we can overcome anything. We must step into a future where everything shines brighter." They embraced each other more strongly than before. Their dreams and hopes for the future had come together, and the traces of the past no longer stood in their way. Everything was beginning to take shape through the love and trust they shared. A new beginning in the business world. After strengthening the trust in their relationship, Sophia and Lucas began to support each other more in their professional lives. Lucas decided to take advantage of the new opportunities in the business world. These opportunities provided them with a chance not only to strengthen his career but also to make their relationship stronger. Sophia, by supporting Lucas every step of the way, was feeling the power of being by his side. One morning, Lucas went to an important meeting with new business partners. This meeting was an opportunity that would bring about a significant change, not only in his professional life but also in his personal life. Sophia encouraged him, saying, "Everything will be fine, Lucas. This new opportunity will only make you stronger. We can overcome any challenge together." Lucas internalized Sophia's words, feeling stronger with her by his side. After the meeting, he successfully concluded the agreement and returned. He had filled the emotional void inside him with the time spent with Sophia, overcoming the difficulties in his work. He had gained great trust not only in his work but also in his relationship. Building the future together. As the days passed, Lucas and Sophia spent more time together. With each opportunity, they recognized once again how valuable their relationship was. They had left behind a period where the past shaped them, taking each step to build a strong future together. Now, the trust they had in each other wasn't limited to just their emotional connection. Both of them were also supporting each other in their professional lives. One evening, while making plans for the future together, Sophia turned to Lucas. "Our future looks so bright, Lucas. I believe we can achieve everything together." Lucas smiled and replied, "Yes, Sophia. Everything is coming together for us. The future will be much brighter with you." With the trust and love they shared, they moved forward into the future with strong steps. Now nothing could stop them. They had left behind all the obstacles from the past and were stepping into a brighter tomorrow together. A happy future. As time passed, Lucas and Sophia became even stronger, supporting each other in both their work and personal lives. As they took determined steps toward their future, the fears and obstacles created by the past had disappeared entirely. Their trust and love for each other helped them overcome every challenge. Now in their lives there was only the bond and trust they shared. Sophia looked at Lucas and smiled, saying, "We've achieved everything together, haven't we?" Lucas hugged her and replied, "Yes, Sophia. We've overcome everything together. The future gets brighter for us every day." And so Lucas and Sophia, with the strong foundation they had built together, moved forward determinedly to overcome any obstacle that came their way. Their future would be shaped by the love and trust they shared, and together they would build a happier and stronger life.